Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
Really glad you're with us for the Thursday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. Jim Garrity is on vacation. Jon Gabriel, editor-in-chief at Ricochet, also the host of the King of Stuff podcast, because he is the King of Stuff, is in for Jim today. We've got good, bad, and crazy martinis for conservatives, and a little bit of a follow-up on yesterday's good martini, since Jon is very much in the nexus of the fight over daylight savings time. But Jon, first of all, I know you're really doing heroic service today because you're not feeling well, so I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I have been laid low by this horrible disease called a cold, and I've spent the past 5 days whining about it. And I think my daughters are not taking me very seriously. They've called me melodramatic, so I've written them out of the will, and they don't know the suffering that I'm enduring. But that was my fault for letting the kids have a whole bunch of their friends over, and then within a few days, all of us started succumbing to this dread disease of a mild cold. So,
now, have you found that when you first tell people that you're sick, that they immediately want to know if you have COVID, and then once they find out that you don't, they really don't care anymore?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's all they care about. Are you sure it isn't COVID? Are you sure it isn't COVID? So, yeah, not COVID, just a boring old cold.
It's like that moment in Washington when you're at a reception and the person wants to know what you do for a living, and then they realize that what you do can't help them advance in their career, and then they don't care
anymore. Exactly. They're looking over your head, trying to find the important person in the distance. Oh, I gotta run.
How do I get out of this, and who can I take advantage of at this reception? That's pretty much how Washington works. But before we get to our good martini, I wanted to follow up a little bit on yesterday's good martini, which was really a contorted, crazy martini, because while I think most people, especially in March, not so much when you fall back, but definitely when you spring forward, people are ready to get rid of daylight savings time. Arizona, where you live, has done so. I believe you're on permanent daylight savings time, since you're now 2 hours behind us here on the East Coast instead of 3 like you are during the summer. But of course, the funny part of the story that we talked about yesterday is that these activists who both want to stop changing the clocks hate each other so much, and now there's this big fight over whether it should be standard time or daylight savings time. So first of all, what's it like to live without changing clocks? And secondly, do you have a strong position about permanent daylight versus standard time?
I just think they should leave the darn clocks alone. I think what happened whenever this was passed by Congress, only leave it to Congress to think they can alter the space-time continuum through legislation. And it was one of those situations where the Senate president said, okay, everybody, every single state is going to go on daylight savings time. And then he noticed Senator Goldwater in the back flipping up middle fingers. And he's like, okay, everybody but Arizona can do daylight savings time. We're just cantankerous enough that we allowed every other state to do it and say, we don't want to. And so we didn't. I think it's better if you want an extra hour of daylight, wake up an hour earlier, go to bed a little earlier or later, whatever you want. We should be able to figure that out. As far as these two activists battling to the death, whether it should be standard time or permanent daylight savings time, you guys need to get out more. You've been locked up in your homes a little too long. Take a walk in the park. Go stroll in the rain. I think you have bigger issues in your life than what the exact time should be. But here in Arizona, I always have to make my appointments and things using Eastern time or Pacific time, because no one can figure out where the heck Arizona is at any given moment. We're kind of like that Stephen King book, The Langoliers. We're just in this weird lost time, all out on our own here.
It's true. So you don't have to change your clocks, but since everybody else does, you kind of have to recalibrate when other people around the country are doing stuff. So
Right. Otherwise, it's this long dance of, okay, I'm not on Mountain Daylight, I'm on Mountain Standard. And then people get out their calculators and their abacus. And then I'm like, okay, tell you what, why don't we just set the time using Eastern or Pacific or a standard like that? But I kind of like Arizona. We're just contrarian cranks out here. And if everybody rushes one way, we are definitely going to rush the other way.
Excellent. All right. Well, on to our martinis now. We're going to do them slightly out of order because we want to put our good one last because we definitely want to end on that note. It is Veterans Day, and we'll be talking about that in our good martini. So let's get the politics up front here, and then we'll get on to honoring heroes. So let's talk about our bad martini now. And Joe Biden's cabinet is, of course, chock full of people who are either radical, thoroughly unqualified, or both for the positions that they hold. And now he's trying to fill other staff positions as well. And one of the people who is currently up for consideration, and I may be butchering this name, I probably am, is Saule Omarova. She teaches at Cornell University, law professor there. And Biden has nominated her to be comptroller of the currency. And she's basically a Marxist, an avowed Marxist, trying to head into this position. The White House is still standing by her. But just to give you a flavor of some of her radical positions, John, this is what she said in a recent interview about the energy industry, and that she's just pretty much hoping it goes away and goes bankrupt because it'd be better for the planet.
And here what I'm thinking about is primarily coal industry and oil and gas industry. A lot of the smaller players in that industry are going to probably go bankrupt in short order. At least we want them to go bankrupt if we want to tackle climate change, right?
Yeah, we just want them to go all bankrupt because that would not create a problem at all with our energy supply, energy prices, just utterly absurd. And then at the same time, she's very upset with Joe Manchin for not rubber stamping the Democrats' big spending agenda. As a result, she wants to pretty much circumvent Congress when it comes to spending, which I'm pretty sure is the only thing Congress still does. So she wants the executive branch to have a national investment authority. And according to Fox Business, the purpose of the authority would be a government institution independent of Congress and the president, which would have the job of directing public and private investments towards, quote, vital infrastructure and the real economy. So, the executive branch doesn't have enough power, apparently, John. What do you make of the fact that Biden is throwing up a total loon like this up there?
Oh, I couldn't even believe. I could understand this person, I don't know, maybe teaching night classes at a community college in Marin County, perhaps, helping to run our economy. I think our economy has enough problems right now. And Omarova, she graduated from Moscow State University. We're not talking about the university in Moscow, Idaho. That's a fine institution. This is an actual commie Moscow back when it was communist, and she attended on a Lenin scholarship. So she is Marxist through and through. That's what her thesis was, basically. And it's just really concerning that these people can even get a security clearance, let alone think that they can privilege themselves to overthrow the constitutional order and just do this top-down rule over the economy. It's only going to cause problems. We know that this crazy Marxist ideas, they always fail in practice. And even the little feints that Joe Biden has made in those directions, well, we now have record inflation, worst in 30 years. So hopefully this person will be kept away from the levers of power, and she can, I don't know, join a commune somewhere to test out her ideas on a smaller scale.
Senator Tester of Montana says he's concerned about some of her previous statements, but he's looking forward to meeting her. I would assume Manchin might have a problem with her, given West Virginia's situation in the energy industry, but you just never know. So it's possible that this administration might lose another fight over a nomination. They lost their fight with Neera Tanden over at OMB, and this could get shot down. But the fact that they even put this nomination up is kind of insane. And just a piece of advice to any administration, this may not be fair to people with similar last names, but, Trump had Omarosa. That didn't work out well. And Omarova is a total radical. So you just might want to avoid names in that general vicinity. I don't know.
Yeah. And let's not get started with Ilhan Omar. So there's just way too many connections going on here.
That's exactly. All right. Well, let's talk about something much better than actual Marxists being sent into the U.S. Senate as possible nominees for major Treasury positions. But let's talk about the XChair. Jim has the XChair. I do not have the XChair. But I'm very jealous of the fact that Jim has the XChair. He talks about the fact that it's just a joy to go to work. He's comfortable there no matter how many hours he has to put in. And for those who have been forced to work at home now, or now have the opportunity, let's say, to work at home since the spring of last year, you want to be set up in the best and most comfortable way to make you most productive. And that could mean your own personal XChair, could also mean if you're the boss, maybe investing in some XChairs for your entire staff. It's got the patented dynamic variable lumbar, or DVL, and your back will never be happier than that. It also has heating and cooling and massage. So, I mean, this is almost like going to the spa, according to Jim and others who have used the XChair. So don't miss out on this. And you got 30 days to try it out and send it back with no risk whatsoever. So go to xchairmartini.com right now. That's the letter XChair, MARTINI.com. Or call 1-844-4XChair for $100 off your order. XChair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort, and you can finance your purchase for as little as $30 per month. XChairmartini.com. All right, Jim, speaking of Marxists, let's head over to China, where John Kerry, our esteemed climate envoy, is trying to forge a climate agreement with the Chinese. And when it comes to what China's doing in Xinjiang province and the forced labor camps and the forced sterilization, the actual genocide, well, he apparently can't be bothered with that. Kudos to this reporter for trying to get him to talk about it, though, because she couched it in the terms of, these people are actually making the solar panels you're so desperate to have flooding the United States. So how much has this issue of human rights come up in your negotiations with the Chinese?
How, in the several months of meetings behind the scenes with China, did you bring up some of those very contentious issues, such as the use of forced labor in Xinjiang for building solar panels? How did you address it, and how did you kind of overcome that in reaching this final?
Well, we're honest. We're honest about the differences, and we certainly know what they are, and we've articulated them. But that's not my lane here. That's my job is to be the climate guy.
I'm the climate guy. I can't be bothered with genocide.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's not his lane. The thing is, if you're a human being, this is in your lane. We're talking about massive genocide. We're talking about using slave labor so they can cut corners in China, and they can re-educate an entire ethnic group that they don't care for. It's in all of our lane, Secretary Kerry, let alone someone who's negotiating directly with China. And basically, he's made no progress on China. China has shunned him. He flew over there to have high-level meetings, and he was given some, the night manager for a KFC over there or something like that. They're just completely mocking him every time he engages with them. And to do this, to accomplish these great goals, all he's doing is bending over backwards, turning a blind eye to an actual genocide. At 1945, we said never again after the atrocities committed by Hitler et al. And now he's just racing right back to it because, maybe we can get some cheap solar panels out of it. It's just disgusting to see America mocked on the world stage like this, and to see our moral authority evaporate. We didn't do a whole lot. And yes, COVID was going on, but we didn't do much when China just subsumed Hong Kong into itself. And to back down from this horrible treatment of not only the Uyghur population, but also Tibet. There's a lot of atrocities going on there. It is all of our concern, and especially someone who's supposed to be representing the most powerful nation on earth. Just absolutely shameful of Secretary Kerry.
Yeah, it's his track record, though. Give away everything that the other side wants.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get a deal. Amazing. But apparently he can't even get that done with the Chinese, which ultimately for us is probably a good thing. But just to add some flavor to this story, Free Beacon, climate czar John Kerry is lobbying House lawmakers to oppose legislation that would ban the import of all Chinese-made goods that are produced using Uyghur slave labor, a move aimed at buying goodwill with Beijing as the United States seeks a new climate deal. Kerry and a faction of State Department officials opposed legislation meant to curtail Chinese imports made using slave labor due to concerns that the restrictive measures will agitate Beijing. The Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act in July passed the Senate by a voice vote, but is stalled in the House. It would target China's construction of solar panels and other equipment the United States needs to migrate the country to green energy sources. And according to this story from Adam Credo, Kerry is really the one leading the charge here against this legislation, which just makes this even more ugly.
Oh, yeah, just completely hideous top to bottom. You have enough money, John Kerry. And why you want to finish your career protecting this murderous, thuggish regime, it's just beyond me. And it's a real stain in America that we're allowing this person to serve in this capacity.
John, I was just thinking, I thought the most embarrassing thing that John Kerry ever did on the international stage was bring James Taylor in to sing You've Got a Friend after the radical Islamic attacks in France. But saying that genocide in China is not in my lane might be even more cringeworthy. I think it has to be, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that James Taylor move, that was the ultimate boomer move, let's say that. Love my boomers, but all the boomers in my life, none of them like James Taylor. So that was about as successful as it could have possibly been.
All right, well, let's talk about something way better than that, and that's the fabulous products you can get through MyPillow. And of course, we've been talking a lot about the Giza Dream Sheets. They got fantastic pillows, mattress toppers, towels, slippers, the whole deal. But the Giza Dream Sheets are where you can really save the money right now. And with inflation going the way it is, a sale this big is one you're not going to want to pass up. I love the Giza Dream Sheets. They're soft, they're comfortable, they're the best sheets that we have. And for a limited time, buy one set of Giza Dream Sheets and you'll get the second set free. This is cotton that only comes from that specific part of the Middle East, the Sahara Desert, Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River comes from Egypt. You've got a variety of colors and sizes, machine washable, plus a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 1-year limited warranty. So for a limited time, buy one and get another set free on all Giza Dream Sheets. Go to MyPillow.com, click the radio listener square, and use the promo code Martini at checkout. Or call 800-874-0104. Find deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. Don't miss this sale of the year. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Martini, or call 800-874-0104. Sleep better with MyPillow.com. Well, let's end on a very positive note today, because today is Veterans Day. We have, of course, Memorial Day at the end of May, and that is the day we are to commemorate and honor all those who lost their lives in service to this country, and also to honor their families that are continuing to deal with those horrific losses. Veterans Day, of course, is to honor everyone who has worn the uniform, and particularly those who are still with us and that we can honor for their previous service to this country. And John, I'm happy to say that you are a veteran. I am not, but you put in 4 years in the United States Navy, and from what I understand, you were the Scotty of a nuclear submarine, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a pretty big deal. When people talk about their veterans experience, I'm kind of the guy who fades into the background. I was on a submarine, so I basically just hid underwater and turned dials and watched meters. And it was not exactly the heroics of Saving Private Ryan or something like that. But yeah, we really appreciate it. I'm sure many, many veterans are listening to this who have actually seen action and done amazing things and served around the world. So a salute to all of you. As crazy as the news can get, you're the front line of freedom. And we thank you all very, very much.
Absolutely right. In addition to the work I do for Radio America, I also work with the American Veterans Center in doing a lot of oral history interviews. And that has been one of the great pleasures of my job. And just this past weekend, for those of you who were paying close attention, I wasn't here on Friday, and it's because I was off interviewing veterans, many of them from World War II. 2 Pearl Harbor survivors were there at this conference, as well as 2 D-Day paratroopers. 3 of those people were 100 years or older, one of whom jumped again for his 100th birthday, which is amazing.
Wow.
2 Americans of Japanese descent who were interned and then still fought heroically for our country, and then all the way up to one of the folks involved with the Pineapple Express, special operators who helped get our Afghan allies out of Afghanistan just earlier this summer. So we have a very rich history of veterans in this country, and the sacrifices that we've seen from them from the revolution up to this very moment is truly humbling, and we are extraordinarily grateful for their service.
you cannot deny all these people who give so much for this country day in and day out. And right now, there's somebody listening to this podcast who's, I don't know, kicking back in a barrack somewhere, or who knows, maybe on a ship close to shore, maybe in an Air Force base, wherever you are. You're awesome. You rule, and we love you guys. And ladies, we love you all. You're doing awesome work, and you don't get nearly enough thanks for everything you guys do.
Absolutely right. And your families, we honor them too today. Jon, as always, great to have you with us. Thanks for being here, and we'll do it again soon, hopefully.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Jon Gabriel, editor-in-chief at Ricochet.com, host of the King of Stuff podcast, in for Jim Garrity today. Jim will be back tomorrow. We'll look forward to that as well. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Please subscribe to the podcast if you don't already. We are very grateful for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews, so please keep those coming in. You can get us on your home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast, and follow all of us on Twitter. Jon is at XJon, EXJON, at Jim Garrity, for Jim, of course, and I'm at Dateline_DC. Have a great Thursday, and please join us on Friday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.